Hey people, this is my last post from this perch, so to speak. I'll probably do another one early tomorrow morning before we get on the road to the airport to leave. Can't believe it's been a week. It's been a beautiful week. And my tropical backdrop is going to give way to the desert again for a couple weeks. But so I had a really interesting experience yesterday. After I did my post, I was just happened to be listening to, I found this guy, Sadguru, who pops up on my YouTube feed every once in a while. I hadn't really clicked on anything, I hadn't checked anything out, and then I started watching a couple of his videos a week or two ago, and then watched another one yesterday, and he said something in the video yesterday that kind of flashed for me it bore some relationship to what I'd been saying in my post, in the sense of, so what he was talking about was saying yes to life, right? He was talking about the idea of saying yes to life in the sense of being a volunteer, as in if we are always voluntarily doing what we are doing, then we're voluntarily participating in life, and we are saying yes to life. It's both the greatest luxury you could ask for, to say yes to life in every moment, and to be grateful and enthusiastic about doing everything we do in life. And it's also, in some ways, the greatest necessity. It's the greatest luxury and the greatest necessity, because that place is where we are bringing our highest selves from. When we're saying yes to every moment, that's when we're doing our real work. I mean, that's maybe not the right way to call it, but that's when we can be the most effective. That's when the most energy can flow through us. That's when the most of ourself can come into play and really animate our energy in the world. We can bring as much of ourselves to the world as possible. And the reason that it struck me as something that was related to what I was talking about, because I was talking about, what if I just stopped trying, right? What if I just stopped trying, and I recognize that from the point of view of consciousness itself, I'm already not trying. Pure consciousness never tries. From the point of view of pure consciousness, it doesn't matter if we're running a marathon, or pushing a boulder up a hill, or participating in the World Olympic weightlifting championship. There's no effort. There's no effort from the point of view of pure consciousness. And that place of not trying, of no resistance, is the same as saying yes to life. It's the same kind of orientation towards the world. And that it just kind of flashed for me as I was listening to this video last night. I was like, oh wow, that's so interesting. It's this idea of saying yes to life is kind of what I was saying. You know, it's almost like I was saying it in the negative. I was saying, what if I stop making this unnecessary effort? And of course the affirmative version of that is, what if I only receive what's here now? What if I only ever allow what is here to happen? And instead of somehow thinking that I need to work against it, somehow thinking that I need to do something that requires my effort. And you know, I teased this apart yesterday, and I don't want to do this. I don't want to go into all that detail again, because of course there's a level where there's more than. Jim, do you need the key? There's sorry, my father-in-law just walked past, but I think I have his room key. Hope he's okay. Anyway, I went into some of that yesterday, but it flashed for me when Sadguru said this about saying yes to life, and I like this. I love this idea of being a volunteer. You know, thinking about ourselves as volunteers in the game of life, volunteers in the journey of life. And that doesn't mean volunteer in the sense of don't do everything for free, do everything without ever getting paid or without ever getting sustained by the work. It simply means everything we do should be voluntary. We should be working towards or aiming towards a place where what we bring into the world is something that we acknowledge that we want to bring it. And funny enough, this is actually now it's kind of like what's flashing for me is this way in which in my own life in the past I've resisted what I kind of knew were some things that were actually really right for me, like teaching. I resisted teaching for a long time, even though I could kind of tell I was a good teacher. I was suited to it. I enjoyed it even. I actually really kind of thrived, and I really became animated and enthusiastic about working with people and about watching other people grow and about explaining things in just the right way so that someone can get something and have that aha moment. That's always been something that thrilled me, but because of what I thought it meant about me, because I thought that it meant that I'm not making it as an artist. If I start teaching, then it means I'm not making it as a performer or as a whatever, creator, writer, composer. I resisted it. And that's like a weird resistance, right? Like that's one of those things where it's like something that is actually very natural for me and could flow very easily if I would allow it to. I'm suppressing because I have a belief about it shouldn't. I can't do that because it'll mean something. That I think that if we, in my own experience anyway, when I look at my life, I can identify those kinds of things. There's certainly like. There's a number of layers of that have happened in my own life. And it's like that's costing us time and energy because all of a sudden we have to make an effort. When we're not permitting ourselves to do the thing that's naturally effulging out of us, just bubbling to the surface, trying to flow through us, then it's, of course, there's massive effort involved. That's where effort comes from. It's from this notion that what naturally is occurring within us, that what naturally wants to come through is somehow not right. And then if we're not allowed to do that, then we have to pick something else. Well, now that other thing is most likely going to be difficult for us, and we're going to develop a thought pattern that says, it takes a lot of effort to make it. Because why? Because when I do this thing, it seems to take forever for me to get anywhere, or it seems to be really hard for me to keep up with what needs to happen. And so it's almost like that notion of effortlessness is so right on, and it's so much the telltale of so many things. When effortlessness is something that is all of our birthright. All of us are perfect. Every single human being is exactly what we need to be. No one is deficient in any way whatsoever. The only way you can be deficient is by comparison to someone else or comparison to something where, an individual is insufficient to do this thing. But in and of themselves and for the purpose they were designed for, every single human being is perfectly sufficient, perfectly optimal. But the journey of discovery, the spiritual discovery, is who am I? What am I? What am I here for? And it's interesting how those questions reframe when it's not totally open-ended, when the answer isn't just, well, I'm pure consciousness. That's who I am. I'm nothing. Because ultimately we're all nothing. Right? Like, that's true. And that's a very, very powerful revelation. It's not, I don't mean to make fun of that. But at the same time, who are we in the world? Who am I? Can we engage in that journey of discovery with an understanding that it is effortless, that every moment can be a yes to life moment. You know, now all of a sudden the transcendent and the world, the transcending the world and the being in the world come together. They start to be moment to moment to moment. One is, you know, it's like we our gaze can shift quickly between the two, and we can kind of navigate this ping pong course between transcending and being in the world, transcending and, as Ken Wilber would say, my favorite philosopher of all time, transcending and including, transcending as in rising above, going beyond, backing up off of, gaining objectivity, including in the world, looking at the thing, actually the thing, the people, the human beings in front of us. That journey can get really exciting. So I think that's where I am today, people. Love you much. I will give you one more vacation backdrop before this is all over. And have a wonderful day. Looking forward to getting back home. Love you all. Bye.